You're listening to TFP, the fan's perspective.
So, Saturday the 28th, Tyson Fury versus Francis Ngannou. Who, I don't know what's going to, no, I do know what's going to happen.
I have a pretty good idea.
This is another one of those fights that, you know, I'm really happy because Francis is getting the bag. And he's getting the bag in the face of a bunch of people who I think were really hoping he didn't. However, as far as the skill, this is another MMA guy trying to box with a really, not just any pro belt. This is the top heavyweight guy, man. This is the guy. So I don't know. I'm worried for Francis. If I had to put money on the fight, I don't know that I could bet on him, other than if I was willing to take a chance on the underdog. I do think Francis has that knockout power chance, but
it's hard to imagine.
It's gonna be rough.
Yeah, Fury.
It's gonna be rough.
It's an MMA fighter going into boxing against the best of the best, rather than working his way to that. And it's at the heavyweight level, which is where the punches all hit way harder and heavier. So I have my concerns, but what Francis Ngannou went through to get here is why everybody's happy, because Francis Ngannou was the heavyweight champion. He was the guy that was supposed to have next in the UFC, and the UFC just never really gave him that type of promotion. Dana White had problems with his ego and called him out for it.
His manager, too, I think.
His manager,
point, right?
Yeah, so then he was beefing with the manager, and Ngannou kept working. He won the title. He defended the belt against a few people, and the UFC was still not trying to pay him what he was asking for. He thought it wasn't fair. We want more. So, and he was right, because what happened was the UFC said he was being greedy. He held out. He won his last fight against a killer, Cyril Gane, with torn ligaments in his knee. Still won that fight, and then left the UFC. And for a year, he had all the other MMA organizations talking about him being too greedy, wanting too much. But he held out. He got a contract with PFL, which gave him the money he was asking for, and it let him go into boxing. And right after he got his PFL contract, he signed a contract to box with Tyson Fury, the top heavyweight on the planet. Arguably, I guess Usyk has an argument too. But, he got the guy. So he's getting the biggest payday of his career by magnitudes, by multiples.
Yeah.
And it's all because he bet on himself. He fought, he won, and then he took on the whole system and reset the whole damn thing.
Well, I think the other thing that got to be put out there is that part of the things that Francis was asking for in his negotiations, it wasn't just, hey, pay me this shitload of money. He was asking for some things that I don't think the UFC wanted to go for.
Yeah, representation.
He wanted
for fighters.
Yeah, he wanted representation for the fighters.
Healthcare.
Yeah, he wanted his opponents to have a minimum if they were gonna face him. You know, so it was just some. He was
things. Getting people paid. He wanted to take care of the fighters. The
bottom line is, what he was asking for seemed like his heart was right in the right place, and he got the bag. He got the bag. It's going down tonight, $10 million. I hope that he takes his head off and pulls off that miracle, because his next fight's going to be double what this fight's paying him if he does.
That's getting a Netflix movie of one of the streaming services will option that story and turn it into a movie, like a Foreman movie.
Hopefully Mac Life's following Ngannou around with their cameras so they can get in on the documentary.
But yeah, it's tough to envision. He didn't look like he had great technical striking in MMA, so when he gets to boxing, it's like, oh God. But he's been working with Mike Tyson. He's got a ton of power. He's doing the things that you do. And the thing that I just want to stress for everybody is Francis Ngannou already won. The win was signing to fight Tyson Fury and getting to walk out and box with Tyson Fury after all the bullshit that the UFC and other organizations dragged him through to get to this moment. So if it comes with a concussion, hopefully it's not too bad.
$10 million concussion. He was getting it for what?
Getting the bag.
$500,000 in the UFC.
Yeah, And then the other thing is he's going to open up, I think, PFL Africa. So he gets to go back to his home and build MMA there and create opportunities for fighters there. So he's doing something that is so philanthropic and bigger than just being the heavyweight. This is the baddest man on the planet. I don't care what happens today. Good job to Francis Ngannou. I hope you get a miracle. Even if you don't, you already won.
Francis Ngannou, shout out. And shout out to Tyson for making this happen.
Yeah, and thank you, Tyson Fury. Because good on you.